Hello, he's got the fan base and he's got the fast car, but now Judd Trump has the #1 ranking to go with all the trappings. And our defending champion in this WilliamHill.com United Kingdom Championship was back here in York today at the start of his latest campaign. He was up against Mark Joyce from Walsall, a man ranked some 49 places below him. Now, Mark has had a torrid time of it over the last couple of years after a city centre mugging incident in which he had a serious injury to his elbow and his eye socket. In fact, he suffered with double vision for 4 months after that incident. I really never thought he would go back to the top of the snooker game thereafter. But great to say he's back at a main venue like this and back in the game. Albeit, however, he didn't look too hot earlier on in this match when Trump had established a 5-2 advantage in the dash for the 6 frames winning post. Indeed, Judd had thrown in a couple of exhibition shots along the way to this point. But Joyce would not give up, and with Judd's concentration levels perhaps not at their sharpest, he won 3 frames on a pop to force a decider. Totally unthinkable earlier in this match. And this is it. Stephen Hendry, John Virgo watching.
And that's what happened. He tried to force it to get the white closer to the black.
So that first chance has gone a-begging. It now falls in the lap of the world #1.
One.
Yeah, just one of those shots where it wasn't straightforward, trying to put a lot of power in it, but if you just it slightly off-centre on the cue ball, it'll throw it away offline. And that's what happened there.
Nine.
Doesn't help Judd that the black spot was unavailable there. That's not the best positional shot. Well, running down this line, it needs to slow up a little bit if he's going to be on a red.
12.
Just slowed up enough. Now, he'd love to be in a position, but that white needs to hurry. Yes, he's played it well. Now pot the black and play for the red that's occupying the black spot. He needs the black at this end of the table. Well, I don't think he's on it.
20. Yeah, 21.
And this is what you would expect, John, for the world #1. Step up a gear when it's required. Get this match won in one visit.
Yeah, you don't become world number one without having those qualities. Try number 2 now to get on that red that's occupying the black spot, but he needs to have a nice angle on it so he can get back up for the black, which will go back on the blue spot. Now it's all about this shot. And that looks pretty good to me.
28.
Okay, maybe straight on it, but he's got enough cue power to play a deep screw, a little bit of right hand side.
29.
Played it well. Played it very well. So it's a choice now. He's got the perfect angle to play the cannon into the pink. I know what you'd be playing, Stephen.
Yeah, I think it's the only shot. I think as long as he, if anything, goes to the left-hand side of the pink as we're looking down the table, then at least he's going to cannon other reds. The one thing he doesn't want to do if he's going into the pack is hit the right-hand side of the pink.
Yeah, he's looking at the loose red, but he knows in the back of his mind that that loose red, he's not going to be good enough to win in this frame and match at this visit. So he needs to think positive and play the cannon. Turned it down. Wouldn't have turned it down early on in the match.
No, I think the fact that black's gone back in its own spot, he can open reds from this pot. Perhaps that was the reason he didn't go into the pack from the previous shot.
.37.
Desperately hoping to be on a colour. You could say just about on the yellow, just about on the brown, but not perfect. And of course, deciding frame, lots of pressure.
Got Trump 37.
Looked in there.
One.
Well, used all the pocket. Just shows you that yellow would have dropped. He finished perfect. It's off the left-hand jaw. I think a bit more pace, it might not have gone in.
Well, he's not won a frame in this match in one visit. What a time to do it would be now. That wasn't a positive stroke. I think most of the time he would have played a stun there.
8. Nine.
Obviously this red passes the yellow. It's the right
16.
middle. Now, where's the red going? Nearly fluked
Back right,
it.
16.
Nearly fluked it. Sitting there ruining that miss. Well, he decided to play it hard and screw on and off the cushion. It looked as though he could have played a soft screw. But he's not going to be punished. Now Judd will be hoping this red is going to be covered by the black. Is it? Is it? It is. He's had a bit of luck there. Just can't get to the potting angle.
That was a world #1's run of the ball there.
Yeah, well, you've all had it, you people, haven't you?
Just when you need it.
Just when you need it, yeah. Well, it's not turned out too bad, that, because that red's gone close to the left-hand corner, but the brown's covering the path to it, and the blue's covering the path to the other reds. Do you know, I think he's snookered on all reds here. Amazing. A world number 50 run of the ball. And I don't think it's, well, I suppose, listen, it's all very easy set up here now because there's a lot of tension out there. Normally you would suggest come off the right-hand side cushion, drop into the reds just by the pink, but if you hit it too hard you could knock a red on. Is it hard enough? Is it hard enough?
Foul and a miss. Mark Joyce 4.
Got the line, but as I say, he's just a bit concerned if he hits it too hard, he may not knock a red on.
And the thing is, in these situations, you start to see problems that sometimes aren't there. You can just see things going wrong.
Well, particularly when there's never been a hint of a problem up until the last few frames. Harder this time. It should reach. Has he got it safe? That red in the middle of the 5 was nearly on. Where's the cue ball going? Where's the cue ball going? Oh! Well, I think he may have angled him for the main bunch of reds. He could possibly get to the red to the left corner. There you see it, but that's the only red he can play. And when you're bridging in the jaws of the pocket like this, there's not a lot of cue, well, not a lot of bridge you can get. I think he can just get to this red, but not the nicest shot to be left with. I don't know how that cue ball didn't drop. It was tough. He's left the red on. It's straight.
This was tough. I think there's just enough angle to pot this red and follow through off the side cushion, bottom cushion.
Yeah, I agree. I think the main thing is, though, don't try and sacrifice the pot for position. Make certain of the red. executed it nicely.
Now can he pot the pink and stun into the 4 reds together? A little bit too much angle for that, perhaps. He's missed a couple of these blacks in the match so far.
Yep. I think he has got the angle off the pink to cannon into the 4 reds. And, well, if it went right, it could be frame and match winning chance. I think now's the time to put your foot hard to the metal and go for it. Just trust your technique. This could be the biggest shot of his career. The right shot, and as far as Mark Joyce is concerned, the right result.
7.
Will Judd Trump get back to the table?
8.
I always found, John, in these high pressure situations, if you could try and commentate yourself
15.
through each shot, tell yourself exactly what you want to do with the white ball, what you want to do exactly in the shot, it helps you focus. And it takes your mind off all the other nonsense that goes on in these situations.
Yes, everybody has their own way. It seems that Mark's way is to give every shot due care and attention, but he underhit that slightly. Should have been on this red so he could have played for the black again. And the fact he couldn't just showed me there's still a little bit of tension in the arm, but thankfully he had the yellow as a reserve. You can't imagine what's going on in his head. The stomach churning.
To be fair, he looks quite composed from the outside. He's obviously, as you say, very nervous inside. Played that nicely.
So when he pots this red, I don't know whether he makes the other 2 reds available. There's a nice angle on this red. He's now got a 1-point lead.
19.
So if he can clear these 3 reds with colours after this black, Judd Trump will need snookers. And a big, big shock on the cards.
$26. $27.
I can only assume that these 2 reds are available. Or at least one of them is. Obviously are, so it should be. I'm not going to say it, I'm not going to treat it lightly. But it should be plain sailing. He needs 2 reds, 2 colours, and Judd Trump will need 2 snookers.
$34.
Remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable what's happened here. Judd led 3-0, 4-1, 5-2.
42.
And this black now to go 32 points in front with just 27 remaining. And the world number 1 and defending champion looks to be on his way out.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that when you go back to the chair. I think it makes you think about it that little bit more. Still don't expect him to miss the black, but just don't stop the flow that you had in that break. What a phenomenal performance though by Mark Joyce to win this match, if he should pot this black.
Well, he took his time, he had the cue ball cleaned, and Judd Trump now there sat reflecting on what might have been, or maybe what should have been. Mr. Yellow, Judd Trump will carry on, but he needs 2 snookers, and he'll come to the table in one.
Well, Judd desperately played on for some 10 minutes in search of the 2 snookers. He got one of them, but ultimately fell short in the end. The second time Mark Joyce has beaten Trump in this championship and in this venue, and this win looked highly unlikely for much of that match. Judd Trump, you've got to say, has contributed to his own demise today. And the world's number 1 player goes home early. The world's number 50, Mark Joyce, is through.
I think I needed a little bit of help from Judd. You know, he missed a few balls. He played nowhere near what he can. Neither did I. But you know, to be honest, the day before I come here, I played in the German Masters qualifiers and I lost a match from 4-2 up, lost 5-4. So I was thinking about that and just trying to dig in really and take each ball, each frame as it comes.
I was disappointed today because I thought the crowd would be better than it was. There was, considering it's a Sunday, not a lot of people are doing anything, that they're still pretty empty. So it's disappointing for snooker that you can't even sell at half a stadium. So I just think that someone needs to come through and step up. Just the interest doesn't seem to be there anymore.
I think the UK and the world are the 2 biggest tournaments of the calendar. So. You know, to win one of those, I mean, there's some great players who haven't got the name on the trophy. So I mean, I'm certainly not looking that far ahead. Like I say, just one match at a time.
So who'd have called that at Trump 5-2 in front? Extraordinary result tonight for both Trump and indeed for Mark Joyce. So who will the Walsall man play next? Well, the answer is not Steve. It's Ali Carter, this year's Crucible runner-up, after the captain sent Mr Davis tumbling out and freewheeling back to our studio. The match was not pretty really, and Carter didn't have to be at his best. He ran out a 6-2 winner against the record 6-time UK champion.
It was difficult. The tables were playing really quick, and to be honest, it wasn't a great performance at all. But a bit rusty out there, really. But you know, I'm in the tournament still, and I can improve, and I'll have to improve if I'm, going to stand any chance of going further.
Emphatic too was the world number 4 Shaun Murphy's win over a rather poorly Rob Milkins, who's been struggling all week with the virus. But the 2008 champion looked very slick in this 6-3 victory, and his reward, a tough tie against former world champ Graham Dott.
I knew what I was going to get with Robert. You know, he's a real tough competitor. He's a good match play snooker player, and I knew I'd have to play somewhere near my best to come through. I was pleased with my performance. I've scored well. My safety was pretty good, so you know, onward and upward.
And at the tender age of 40, one of the most improved players in the game, Hastings' Mark Davis, has never known things so good. He dispatched Chinese up-and-comer Cao Yupeng in brisk fashion, 6-1. John Higgins is next.
In the past, I've probably had the right head on my shoulders coming into tournaments. I've just been, hoping to play half decent and maybe give them a game. But now I'm going to tournaments. I'm looking to win them. Simple as that. I'm saying I'm going to. Or there's a lot of great players to win a tournament. Any tournament is a really, really difficult. But I'm not just here to turn up and pick up some money, some points, and I'm looking to win every game I play.
Talking very confidently these days, and no wonder. Now, 12 months ago, Mark Allen made his way to the final in this championship in very, very stylish fashion. We remember some great moments from him along the way, but we also recall some pretty bizarre and controversial comments from the young Northern Irishman as well. And that tendency and liking for speaking his mind was very prevalent at the Crucible in April, and some of those comments got him into rather hot water.
Not been one to shy away from speaking my mind, and I think that's what players need to start doing more of, because there's too many people that have said exactly what I said amongst themselves, but they're not man enough to say it to the public. Obviously I've been criticised for swearing on TV or on the press conference, which I hold my hand up and say I shouldn't have done that. Obviously it's not setting a good example, but I stand by everything else that I said. It seems to be a bit of a trait for the Chinese players. There's been a few instances in the past that fouls and blatant cheating really going on. Needs to be corrected.
Well, Mark has had a 3-month ban from competition hanging over his head since those comments, and that ban was suspended until Wednesday passed. Now, on Wednesday, he gave an interview in which he basically said he didn't regret his original comments about the Chinese players, but the way in which he made them. He said, "It was unfair of me to label all Chinese players as cheats, but dishonesty in snooker is something that needs to be stamped out." Now, World Snooker has already written to Mark this week after those latest comments, and the row rumbles on. So, as you can see, a pretty incendiary background to his opening match in this year's championship against, you've guessed it, Hong Kong's Marco Fu. Both men, remember, have come within touching distances of the UK Championship trophy, only to be pipped in their respective finals. Well, Marco began very crisply, an immaculate break of 91. Allen snatched a tight tactical frame 2. Fu took the lead once again with a 1-3-1, and here in the 4th frame, it's the Antrim pro at the table and eyeing up a pretty outlandish plant here.
Yeah, that was a plant.
I'll tell you what, it would have been a 12-ball plant had it have come off, but look what he's done with the reds. Well, listen, Marco, fill your boots, look at these.
Well, I don't know quite what he thought would go there, Mark, but obviously he thought there was something, so you have to go with it, but it looked a bit reckless, didn't it? And the table looks like an explosion in a paint factory.
Well,
it's one of those routines you do in practice, this, Dennis, isn't it? Reds everywhere. Get your arm going.
Well, even you and me, John, could knock a few in here. Maybe. Sometimes it can be a bit confusing. There's that many balls to play on. You're used to just playing fairly precise position. Six.
All Marco has to do here, steal himself and do exactly what he's been doing this evening, because he's looked very good amongst the balls. He's had a chance, and these really couldn't be better placed.
10. $15. 16. 18.
21.
Yeah, the black is available into the left corner.
22.
I think it's sitting on its spot. When it's respotted, still should be available. Doesn't want to be playing a little cannon here because he could put himself out of position. He's just making sure that the black spot is available.
And these really couldn't be better placed. I'm surprised he's a little under hit that because he had the option of the other red
29.
above, but it looks perfect.
$30.
Just trying to hit that slightly, but it's worth having another look at this here. Hey, look at that.
37.
The plant that never was.
Well, it was a new species anyway.
As I say, just trying to hit that slightly. He should have been further up the table and this red would have been much more comfortable.
Yeah, he's just been a little bit tentative with the last couple of shots.
$38.
Yeah, you want to try and keep close control of that cue ball rather than having to go up and down the table. But the way the reds are situated, bound to finish on one.
$42. $43. $48.
Just slightly out of position again.
$49.
Yeah, well recovered.
Really is great stuff from Marco here. He hasn't missed much. Putt success rate at 94%. Every chance that he'll go to the mid-session interval leading 3-1. And the 3 frames he's won has been one visit. Breaks of 91, 131, and then this.
Yeah, she's taken these very well.
62. 63.
Certainly nothing wrong with the way he's hitting the ball. Break building. And all the time he's putting that added pressure on his opponent, saying if you make a mistake or you let me in amongst the balls, I'm going to score.
$70.
71.
And there is a possibility of making another century here. And that's as good a standard as you'll see from any player in the world. He's
79.
number 24 in the world rankings at the moment, but he's playing as if he's a top 4 player. If he carries on like this, he's going to take some beating. Just finished a little bit straight this
86.
time, but there's plenty of cue power there to screw back and get on the black. And in fact, he didn't even have to hit it that hard.
Yeah, it's the only player so far in this year's championship who's played something like Marco's standard is Stephen Maguire in his second session with Fergal O'Brien. He had 3 consecutive centuries, should have had 4. So he hit the ball well in his match.
94.
Well,
this is up there with him. It's good stuff.
Well, he was living up to his nickname then, on fire, Stephen Maguire. Well, I didn't realise he'd made 3 centuries. Or
99.
Only the 3rd player in UK history to do it, make 3 consecutive centuries in the UK. Stephen Hendry's unsurprisingly one of them. And you know the other one is, Dennis?
It wouldn't be JP, would it?
No, it wouldn't. Your old mucker, Mr. Doug Mountjoy.
Good old Doug Mountjoy, yeah. 3 centuries and 3 frames. But this has been very, very impressive from Marco Fu. It really has.
$114. 120.
Back-to-back centuries for Marco Fu. And along with that opening frame break of 91, he takes himself to the mid-session interval. 3-1 ahead.
And the former Grand Prix champion Fu took the next as well with a break of 66, scoring very well now, 4-1 in front. And as we pick it back up again in frame 6, it's Allen at the table, 42 points to the good here.
Well, he could even hold it for the black, but with the red over the pocket, at least he hasn't got much to do with this fairly straightish black. Got a slight angle there to work with.
Eight. Nine. $40. 15.
Starting to cue very nicely now, and you just sense that there's quite a bit of snooker to be played in this match. Okay, he's still going to be 4-2 behind, but he's starting to look good. And as you mentioned, John, he can quite easily win a couple of frames in a very short space of time.
Yes, he certainly stepped his tempo up around the table. He's a lot quicker.
$21. Mark Allen.
Can you get your breath? There's still a possible 67 left on the table, and he's 63 in front. So how costly is that going to be? Because there's not a ball safe. The only awkward red is the one there to the right, and a little wry smile.
Yes, I think the only awkward thing here for Marco is he obviously want to put the red in the centre and screw back. He doesn't want to snooker himself behind the red that's closer to the cue ball. So he's decided that he'll forego the points on the black and play up for the blue.
1.
Yes, and I don't blame him for that. It's good thinking.
He's overscrewed that. That's a bit careless. He might be able to still push through, and get onto the black. But he should have been easier than this.
7.
He's okay. It wasn't imperative that he stayed on the black, and just overdone that slightly, but he's okay again. It's just that one red that's closest to the cushion is going to be the problem ball.
14.
Yes, ideally he's got 1 point to play with, so if he could manage to negotiate red black after this one and then get the pink would be very useful. And obviously he's close to the yellow then, and the pink can come back down the table, so a little bit of snooker to play with it, as long as you make sure you get the right angle here to get back on the black again.
Well, no use playing for the blue, and
22.
it's all about that red that we mentioned. In a couple of shots' time, he might have to drop in behind that red. He's got to screw back for the black here, though.
$23.
He needs to get on that red in such a way that he can get to the pink. If he could get somewhere there, you know, it'd be absolutely perfect. He could roll it in and get on the pink. Well, he can still do it. That's very good indeed. He might be able to reach round.
30.
Yes, the angle he's finished on here, he'll probably have to play the run through for the black. In a perfect world, he'd like to have gone up for pink, but this is good enough. All about the pot here.
31.
And what a steal this would be. It looks as if he can roll the black in and get nicely onto the yellow. I think it's just a plain ball pot. He just rolls the black. I think he can go somewhere near the line and leave the yellow. Played it well.
38.
What a chance this is. Mark Allen will be absolutely kicking himself over that pink in the centre.
40.
But these have been really well taken, Dennis. You have to say it. He's looking very cool, calm and collected here, Marco Fu.
43.
Yeah, just a few moments ago we thought it was going to finish up being quite a close match, but if Marco goes 5-1 in front, it may not be. It's all about getting a good angle on the pink, and there's where he'd like to put it so that he can get back up for the black. He'll just stun this in, probably go over the brown spot, somewhere near that, just back again as long as he leaves the angle. He's got a bit of margin for error.
Yes, the one thing you don't want to do is be a little short on this and leave yourself a thinner cut than you need to. So coming up the table a little bit further than the baulk line is a good idea.
Anywhere near the circle would do. A little bit of side would help.
52.
Yeah, that's good. He's got the angle.
So just a good positional shot required. Pink to black. What a steal this would be.
You could have done with a little bit more pace on that one. It's not a gimme. Just didn't quite get into that. What a clearance that is from Mark Olfu. Mark Allen, Mr. Pink in the middle pocket. And Mark Olfu, well, he cleared up with a fantastic 65 break. And he now leads 5 frames to 1.
Well, the world number 8, Mark Allen, is a doughty competitor and managed to give himself some hope with breaks of 69 and 46 to win the next 2. But in the 9th frame, Fu was relentless. Mark Allen even jokingly threw in the towel in the final stages before having it returned once again at Rye Smile from the Northern Irishman, but a hugely disappointing loss for last year's runner-up. As for Marco, he's already knocked in 25 centuries this season, made it to the semis and the quarters of 2 of the main ranking events this term and the final of one of the smaller ones too. He is evidently all fired up again here. Fu is through, Allen is going home.
People make mistakes, it's up to us as individuals to move on. Unfortunately, some people can't let it go. I've progressed pretty well in the press since then, and I've won a tournament. I've got a few results here and there, but no one seems to want to talk about that.
I didn't try any harder tonight. I just want to go out there and play the game, a game of snooker. Actually, I didn't really try any harder to beat Mark. I just treated him as just a normal opponent, which was probably the good attitude for me, because I was like, in the past I was playing the player rather than playing the table, and tonight I just played the table, and it really worked.
If I've ever anything to say anymore, I'm going to sit down with my management company and get it on paper and make sure we're all happy before we release it, because no matter what I say in the press, it always seems to be twisted. So it'll be interesting to see what you guys talk about now with me and Judd both out of the tournament. It might be a real shame that you might have to talk about snooker now.
Maybe, but the snooker they both played here last year certainly gave us an awful lot to talk about as well, Well, there was one other match to tie up for you this evening, and it featured Stuart Bingham, arguably the man of the season so far. He's won no fewer than 3 titles, made relatively short work though of the very talented Jack Lazowski, the 21-year-old left-hander, who's made a maximum break in qualifying for this tournament in York. Jack had his chances early on, but Bingham just too strong for him this evening. 6-2 the scoreline. Well, Snooker Extra follows this programme, and it features the match between Mark Davis and Sao Yupeng. But I know it is a school night. If you're not one for staying up going into Monday morning, you are excused, of course. We'll be back at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on BBC Two to see former world and reigning Masters champion Neil Robertson attempt to claim the one and only major prize to have eluded him so far. This one. Meantime, from all of us here in York, it's good night.